The current valuation space in India is very heterogeneous in nature. To get the true idea of a proper valuation, you will need professional expertise from the likes of Kzen Valtech. Hi, my name is Shameek Dev and I am the director at Kzen Valtech Pvt Ltd. At Kzen, we look after valuations of land and building, financial assets and other securities. Within Kzen, I take care of land and building valuations, specifically within the retail space. I have an experience of more than 22 years in valuations and I am an MRICS accredited valuer of land and building. Let me give you a brief about my background in valuations. I have had experiences with various banks and financial institutions where I started off my valuations in 2006. I started off as a regional valuer in Odisha, and thereafter I moved into valuations for regional, zonal and thereafter national level positions in various banks and financial institutions. I was in Citibank for 13 years and I was the national head for valuations till I left Citibank in 2023 and I joined Axis Bank. I looked into retail valuations, project monitoring reports, construction finance and all other types of reports in the retail banking space. To give you an idea of what type of services we provide in the banks, in banks such as Citibank and other multinational banks, we used to provide valuations where we took care of not just looking at a project, but looking at the overall developer and project combination. So we started off with the real estate developer, where we looked into the developer's reputation, the developer's financial profile, and the developer's overall completion timelines. And we used to project those developers which used to have a very good reputation with respect to these things. Thereafter, we used to visit these projects that were recommended by the banks, and we used to do a full-fledged in-depth valuation of the land, the building being constructed and the project progress that has been achieved on site. These reports fall into the category of monitoring reports as well as construction finance and cover a wide gamut of the overall real estate aspects of these projects. In the valuations of land and building, the requirement might be because of various reasons. The first reason would be somebody who is looking at valuing their properties to sell their property. So specifically, if somebody wants to look at what is the capital gains on his property, they may want to do a valuations. Now this segment of valuation refers to valuations which are directly catered to a client, a B2C type of a valuation. In such valuations, the professional will visit a property, give you the idea of the valuation of the property and give you an estimate of how much the valuations have increased from the time you have bought the property. While there are other sorts of valuations in the B2B profile, like when banks do their valuations, they would like to ideally know what is the valuation of a property with respect to the loan they are giving out. So if somebody wants to give you a loan of say 1 CR or 1 crore, they may want to understand if the valuation of the property fully covers that loan amount or not. So this is a B2B type of valuation where we provide valuations in the retail space to the banks and the financial institutions. Similarly, you can have valuations for companies as well if they are coming out with an IPO, or for instance if they are going for an NCLT, IBBI valuations, and all of these things are there as well. So from a standpoint of valuation requirement, there are various situations where you might need to do valuations, and we cater to all of those needs at Kzen Valtech. And these valuations are provided in a very professional manner, and they are provided in compliance to RICS and other building valuation codes as well. To give you an idea of the process of the valuation project involves going to site. So let me start off by saying that the first thing that you receive is the instruction from the client to start off the valuation. The client will give you the documents for the property. The property documents are studied in office. They are checked whether the property documents are correct or not. The important requirements such as the address of the property and other details, area, etc. are noted down. The valuer who will visit the property then initiates the inspection of the property. He or she will carry the important aspects of the property, such as the area of the property, the documents of the property, and all of those details. They will visit the property, they will meet up the client at the property, and they will measure the property entirely and provide those inputs to the person who sits at the back end of the valuation to prepare the valuation report in full. The valuation report is thereafter finalized by the valuer, who takes into account everything from direction of the property, from the size of the property, from the location of the property, age of the property, and all of those details before finally arriving at the correct valuation of the property. And the report is prepared as per the compliance norms and given back to the client within a specified period of time, which is called the turnaround time. Speaking from a real estate perspective, the Gurgaon market is mostly concentrated around developers such as DLFs and Central Parks and these big developers who have set up a lot of projects in and around Gurgaon as well as in the outside as well. So if we take a specific micro market such as, let's say, Dwarka Expressway, where we have a lot of projects coming up, a huge number of developers now invested in these regions, and the prices have also shown a lot of increase in these areas, which goes on to show that the market is expanding in Delhi NCR. And with the recent introduction of the metro lines that are now more or less going to every part of Gurgaon that have been planned, the real estate prices are expected to show more rise, if not, significant rise in the future. So from a perspective of real estate, I think the overall situation in Gurgaon is very nice, and going ahead there will be a lot of development in most of the peripheral areas such as Dwarka Expressway, such as the Sona South Gurgaon micro market and other micro markets in the periphery. In Citibank, MRICS was considered to be a mandatory requirement because MRICS gave me an idea about what were the specific requirements with respect to valuation, especially when it comes to compliance and report preparation. All our valuers that were engaged in Citibank were required to provide us report based on RICS guidelines and the Red Book. And most of the valuations that we received at Citibank were as per the RICS guidelines that were provided to us. So overall, I would say that valuation practice is one of the fields where young talent is required, and young talent should look into this field because it not just involves preparation of a report and looking into an office work environment, but also it involves a lot of work at site where you have to visit the property, understand the property, do its due diligence, have technical knowledge and skills. So also to give you an idea, some of the folks who do the big size valuations are also mostly civil engineers or architects who have had a good experience with respect to structural know-how about of a building or about the architecture of a building, and that in itself, this field sort of lends a helping hand to those people as well with respect to choosing a field. And from the perspective of RICS, it is most lucrative because RICS gives you a launching pad with respect to these activities, and they provide you with a sort of an environment where you can get into this field and understand what the technical requirements are and network with other people, as well as understand the overall dynamics of valuation.